Before Blaze Black, Sacred Gold, Renegade Platinum, there was Pokémon FireRed Omega, Drayano's very first advanced difficulty project. There's very few buffs, no physical special split, and not a single Pokémon got a crazy type change. Sorry, Granbull, you're just a boring normal type here. This game's so old that it came out before the fairy type even existed. But FireRed Omega's status as an overlooked classic grants me the unique opportunity to try to beat my first playthrough as a CALCLESS hardcore Nuzlocke. What does that mean? Well, in addition to our standard rules, it means that I cannot use a damage calculator. Gone are the meticulously crafted plans, and in their place are some good old-fashioned vibe-based guesstimations. What? And if CALCLESS isn't hard enough, I'm also doing this without effort values or setup moves. Okay, the FireRed Omega starters are Magby, Smoochum, and Elekid. I choose Smoochum because I thought she would have a good matchup against Brock's team.
What did I say, Brayden? What did I say?
Canada's got an amazingly useful hasty nature, boosting her speed at the expense of dropping her inherent, that one guy from the chocolate episode of SpongeBob, physical defense.
I was born with glass bones and paper skin. Every morning I break my legs, and every afternoon I break my arms.
But even so, thanks to a held Oranberry, she's able to mount a strategic razor-thin victory over our rivals Magby. Eat shit, Drayano. With Pokeballs obtained, it's time to catch some encounters. One of my favorite parts of playing these advanced difficulty projects is using unique Pokemon that you don't get to use in the vanilla games they're based on.
Oh yeah, we're really gaming now.
Well, maybe Route 22 will be better. I do not like this game. After getting the old rod from a displaced fishing guru, I can snag Barbados, the Barboach, from the pond in Viridian City. En route to Pewter City, I also catch Chad the Poochyena and Jamaica the Oddish. Oh, and it's worth noting that there are a handful of NPCs throughout the early game that will give me all the starters from the first 3 generations, but I don't feel like using them. You know, looking back at this footage, I do not remember doing this, so that Torchic is definitely still just sitting there in isolation. Completely abandoned. Dust collecting on his pinned up hair, right where I left him. Anyways, it's these 6 squeakers that need to— oh wait, there's grass in Pewter City. Nice. Get out of here, Skitty. Brock has a full team, but still leads with a Geodude who Barbados can one-shot with a water gun. This brings in Kabuto second, and with Absorb, he threatens decent damage. So I switch to Jamaica, who gets the KO with a taste of our foe's own medicine. Against Rhyhorn, it's back to Barbados, who gets his second KO with another water gun, and then against Ammonite, it's back to Jamaica. I thought it'd once again be an easy kill, but Ammonite manages to survive a hit. And then—
Wow, I was not familiar with your game, Brock.
this Vulpix is a bit of a pain in the ass because she has both Confuse Ray and Hypnosis. But eventually, France can get the kill with a combination of Hyper Fang and Quick Attack. Ammonite comes back in, and thanks to another heal, this becomes a bit of a slog. The issue is that he has Mud Slap to drop our accuracy and Protect to stall out our PP, which actually matters against Jamaica since I kinda forgot to heal her after fighting Brock's mandatory gym trainer. But in the end, we still come out of the matchup with 2 Absorbs left. So last is Onyx with a moveset of Rock Tomb, Dig, Dragon Breath, and Swagger. The plan here is to bait him into using Dig as I switch to Scotland, letting us nail him with a Sing. Then Jamaica can come in and fire off a massive Absorb, which is just barely not enough for the KO, such that Onyx's Citrus Berry brings him back to nearly full HP. So now, one question remains.
Does he wake up? Does he wake up? He doesn't. Oh my god.
Sadly, that was our last Absorb, so now I gotta get the KO with Scotland, who can't do it with a single Astonish. But since I can always bait Dig, this is a free, though admittedly clunky win for the very first gym badge. Misty awaits us in Cerulean City, and along the way I pick up a few more encounters. Route 3's Denmark the Electrike, Mount Moon's Romania the Zubat, and Route 4's Taiwan the Magnemity.
Hardy! Because it's made of metal. Hardy!
I also get Japan the Nincada from the new grass in Cerulean City, Portugal the Max Attack Guts Talo from Route 5, who makes France jobless, Sacre bleu, and Finland the Chinchou from Route 24. So that means we've now got a bunch of fully evolved Pokemon, and 3 electric types perfect for the matchup against Misty.
Wait, what about Route 25?
There's no encounters on Route 25. But there is a pretty useful item. Oh, right, the TM Essential for Open Secret Earbuds Power. Brought to you by the sponsor of this video, Raycon. Wait, what did you say? Nothing. The Essential Open Earbuds are Raycon's latest earbuds designed for on-the-go lifestyle. They're perfect for delivering clear quality audio without blocking out the world around you. I can listen to the latest Big Pick meltdown on my walk while still hearing traffic. Or I can tune into Spotify's hottest playlist while still hearing Poppy alert me of any and all potential dangers every second of every day, all the time. My favorite thing about the Essential Open Earbuds is that they are extremely comfortable to wear thanks to a feather-light design, and with 36 hours of battery life in the wireless charging case, I never have to worry about running out of juice. So if you're looking for earbuds that move with you, whether you're commuting, working, or just living life, the Essential Open Earbuds are the way to go. You can head to buyraycon.com/FlygonOpen to get 20% off your order of Essential Open Earbuds today. Thanks so much to Raycon for sponsoring this video. Now, let's get back to the challenge. As our battle against Misty begins, I'm feeling great. Our team is extremely strong, led by Portugal, who's been pre-poisoned to trigger the Guts boost to his attack. This lets him rip a secret power for the one-shot against Staryu, and though it's not enough for the kill against Misty's second Pokemon, a paralysis means that even after a Dragon Dance, we can still outspeed and one-shot Seadra. So third is Love Disc.
Question is, am I faster than Love Disc? No calcs. Love Disc got buff. It's now 117 speed. But we're 125. We're sending it. We're fucking sending it. Let's send it. Go, go, go! Yes! Goodbye, Love Disc. And a crit. That was unnecessary. That was rude and unnecessary.
Call me Nebby, because with Misty down to just 3 Pokemon, we've got this in the bag. Yes, Starmie will be bulky enough to survive a secret power, so I switched to Finland on what ends up being a Water Pulse instead of a Shockwave that would have triggered Finland's Volt Absorb. I also learned that in Gen 3, Volt Absorb does not make you immune to Thunder Wave, and since Finland proceeds to get fully paralyzed 3 times in a row before getting off a Thunder Wave of his own, well, this is still totally fine.
Oh my freaking god, dude.
Alright, well, I bring in Jamaica to start doing damage with Absorb and Bullet Seed. Now, I did mean to evolve her into a Blossom with the Sunstone I found, but I forgot. Fortunately, it seems like it won't matter. Absorb does decent damage, and with a full paralysis, things are looking promising. Another Absorb brings us back to full HP as Starmie regains the speed advantage with a Thunder Wave. Then it's just a matter of trading off attacks, and with recovery from Absorb, what could go wrong?
Okay. Oh, it's got a citrus berry? All right, I'm risking a crit here. Snap out and hit this. Damn it!
Brutal, man. Just brutal. Denmark can come in and take the kill, though only by avoiding a critical hit from Water Pulse and another full paralysis. This leaves Misty with 2 Pokemon, the first being Psyduck. Finland can tank Confusions to paralyze Psyduck with a Thunder Wave and do a decent chunk of damage with Flail before switching into Taiwan on a Water Pulse. It seems like Finland was low enough to bait a random move, and the result is our team's second death. Portugal claims bird superiority with another secret power, so Misty's final Pokemon is Togetic. My only play is to outpace him with Romania. Metronome is definitely scary, and Thunder Wave is bad for my mental health, but with just a few wing attacks, Romania wins us the second gym badge. Admittedly, not my best moments. Joe would have to call me a peer in the industry because that was some sloppy Nuzlocking. But what's done is done. All I can do is mourn the fallen and move on.
Ooh. Oh shit.
Funny enough, Brazil the Chikorita has the unique met location of Underground Path, so accidentally picking him up doesn't prevent me from getting any other encounters, which is why I didn't want to use the starters in the first place. Anyways, we get a bunch of other Pokemon, the most notable being Sweden the Dunsparce from Diglett Cave, since it means that we did not get a second ground type. What's Dunsparce even doing here? It's not called Dunsparce Cave, and no, this flop of a Pokemon is not one of the few that got buffs, but all three of the starters did, in addition to earlier evolution levels, which means that the rival fight on the SS Aqua is actually a bit tricky. A Magmar with Sunny Day is no joke at this point in the game.
Give me one reason to follow, because it costs you nothing, and it would make me feel good.
Dre leads with a Golbat that Denmark crushingly fails to kill with a single spark, but since all that comes out is a bite, it's not that big of a deal. Against Gramble, 2 more sparks get a second KO, so third is that scary Magmar. I switch to Barbados as the sun goes up and our foe rips a nasty critical hit Ember. Our little mud puppy then fails to capitalize on his chance for big damage by squeaking out a piss poor magnitude 5. So I switch to Finland, hit him with a Thunder Wave, and then slowly do damage with Spark. Since Drayano went for the coward's play of using Smokescreen, I switched to Portugal just to ensure that we don't have an unexpected death, and then he takes 2 quick KOs on our foe's final Pokemon. You're gonna have to do better than that, Dre. Lieutenant Surge's electric types are next, but with the fishy duo of Finland, now a Lantern, and Barbados, I was confident we wouldn't have any issues. I mean, it's not like the previous 2 gym fights were hard, so we'll be fine just fine. Exhibit A, Surge leads with a Flaffy that cannot touch Barbados.
That's okay, get the 6s out of the way here, it's fine, I guess. 7? Alright. 2-shotted that son of a gun.
Surge's second Pokemon is a Chinchou that in hindsight I should have just stayed in against. I figured Brazil would be a safe enough switch, but with Confuse Ray and Thunder Wave, we quickly find ourselves in a position not dissimilar to the fiasco against Misty's Starmie. Though obviously Chinchou threatens with quite a bit less damage, so by the time he falls, our team is still doing mostly okay. Manectric knows Flamethrower, so I bring in Finland, and even with a critical hit on the switch, thanks to a Volt Absorb activation, we can comfortably take the KO with a few water pulses. Jolteon can also do very little to Finland, so all it takes is a few more water pulses to bring out Surge's penultimate Pokemon, Magneton. Now, the plan was to take these guys out with a dig from France, but I kinda forgot to teach it to them. That's what, the 3rd gym in a row? Well, instead, my plan is to hit a Thunder Wave and do some damage with Water Pulse to ensure that Barbados outspeeds, though this does come at the price of getting paralyzed ourselves. I also wanted to use Romania to bait a Shockwave for the free switch, and potentially even use this to get back some HP on Finland, but Magneton refuses to click anything other than Thunder Wave. They also managed to get paralyzed 5 times in a row, which is hilarious, but ultimately not helpful in the slightest. Where was this paralysis luck against Misty, huh? Eventually, I get fed up with trying to trigger the heal and just bring Barbados in on a Thunder Wave. A Magnitude 9 slices through Magneton like a trio of perfectly cooked fish fillets, leaving Surge with his final Pokemon, Raichu. This guy's got Focus Punch and Surf, so we're really not out of the woods quite yet. I switched to Romania on a Surf, hopefully baiting a Shockwave to get back some HP on Finland, but for some reason, Raichu uses Surf.
That sucks. Oh, no, not Finland! No, not Finland, no! And he got full para'd. What?
With another unexpected death, and easily the most emotionally devastating one so far, I start to panic. And then I start making dumb decision after dumb decision. Focus Punch is a really weird move to play around because in theory, as long as you keep attacking, your foe will never be able to get it off. The issue is that it's not clear when the AI wants to use it, so I also have to play around Raichu's other moves. Eventually, I decide to just risk Brazil. Like, if he gets fully paralyzed even once, he's dead. But as Magical Leaf after Magical Leaf comes out to ruin and Raichu's focus, I start to believe. Brazil can do this. A citrus berry means that he needs to hit a couple more, but in just a few turns, we've brought Raichu into the red. Brazil is safe. All I have to do is switch to Romania for the finishing blow.
No, you're kidding. Moo Moo Milk? Bro. Air of Lynch. Oh, I forgot that it had Shockwave. I'm an idiot. It's fine. Here's what we do. We rip a 9. This game's kind of stupid.
Sorry, I misspoke there. What I meant to say is that I'm kind of stupid. With more deaths than gym badges, each subsequent loss driving me closer to insanity, we make our way to Celadon City, and other than some mostly forgettable trainer fights, all there is along the way is a handful of new encounters, the most notable being Little E-Ron, the Aaron from Rock Tunnel. Unrelatedly, the bottom floor of Rock Tunnel is now an ice cave, which is pretty neat.
Ow! Rats.
Expert dodging optionals there, big guy. At this point, our box is starting to look pretty good, for the most part. But against Erika, I really only need one Pokemon, Portugal the Swellow. My plan? Sweep her entire team with guts-boosted aerial aces. If all goes well, this fight will be done in just 6 turns.
Let's do it. We went Aerial Ace over Wing Attack because the Jump Pluff has Bright Powder. That's one. Ludicolo's got Thunder Punch. Makes sense this comes out. We're just going to rip another one, though. Does this kill? Oh, it does. Surely we kill Blissey with Return, right? Assuming Portugal loves me lots. Okay. Woo. Bell Awesome. I don't know why you came out. We're killing you. Right? Okay, yeah, that one's a little bulky too, so I guess that could have been a little scary. A skosh scary. Are you faster, Jump Pluff? You are not. GG's, well played. Give me that Oranberry. Oh, no Oranberry proc. Okay, let's finish it off. Finish strong here, Portugal. No! No, Portugal, no! What? How? What? There's no way. There's no fucking way.
There is, in fact, a way. Vileplume is surprisingly bulky, and this one is bold-natured, so that wasn't even a damage roll. We just never get that kill. Funny enough, though, the one-shot on Blossom was a roll, and a very unfavorable one at that, so yay. At the very least, I guess I learned a couple lessons.
Swallow fucking sucks.
The new level cap is 50, which means that I can afford to be pretty over-leveled for this stretch of the mid-game. Even so, there are some fairly close calls.
Jesus, dude!
And it becomes very apparent that I am grossly overestimating some of my Pokemon.
Surely this one-shot's right. Manectric has been disappointing me lately, but oh my god, dude! That should kill. Oh my god, my Pokemon suck! Sure, if this doesn't kill, I don't even know. Thank you.
Okay, Barbados is innocent. Regardless, after another handful of encounters, including a freaking Trapinch, baby, we make it to Fuchsia City unscathed and with another chance to tie up the badges to death ratio. Koga's the poison-type gym leader, so it's time for Liberia to get off the bench and start spamming psychics. With his frail physical defense, he either gets the one-shots here or dies. Simple as that. Against Weezing, we get the kill. Against Venomoth, we get the kill. But against Crobat, I'm skeptical that we even outspeed, so I just switch to not-so-little Iran, who takes the kill with a few rock slides. Tentacruel's 4th, so I bring in Minnesota, who can easily win the matchup with 2 body slams. Fortress is 5th, and in FireRed Omega, Myanmar the Gengar gets access to 2 of the elemental punches by level up, which are still special attacking moves in Generation 3, so the Bagworm falls to a quad-effective Fire Punch, which means that last is Electrode, who will now never blow up, ensuring that Finland 2 can come in on a Thunder and get the kill with an Earthquake, winning us the easiest gym badge of the run. In Saffron City, we snag Tylan the Hitmonlee, and from the Silph Co, after another fairly simple fight against our rival, Eat More Shit Dray, we get Iceland the Lapra. The fight against Giovanni is a little scary because he has random AI, meaning that you can't bait specific moves based on which ones do the most damage. For example, after Finland 2 gets the kill on his lead Houndoom with an Earthquake, Giovanni brings in his own Flygon. Normally, you'd expect him to go for a Dragon Claw here, but as we switch to Myanmar, we see that it's a Rock Slide, which makes zero sense against a ground type. Fortunately, it doesn't matter since Myanmar would have survived even a critical hit and can freely take the kill with an Ice Punch. Iran hardwalls Persian, who's third and can take the kill with just a few Rock Slides. So fourth is Cloyster, who does threaten with a random explosion, but I have the perfect plan.
We're just gonna go to Denmark and hope it doesn't blow up. Nice. This won't kill. All right, well, RIP Denmark.
Liberia gets the revenge kill with a Thunder Punch and follows up with another Oko against Nidoking via Psychic. Iceland then drowns Rhydon, so the battle against Giovanni is won, but we once again have more deaths than badges, and losing Sweet Denmark does sting. Electric types are very rare, and I've now lost 3 of them, but on a more emotional level, I've always had a soft spot for Manectric. I just really wish they were a little better. As our battle against Sabrina begins, I'm hoping that this is closer to the Koga fight than it is to the Surge and Misty fights. Things start off great as Myanmar rips a physical Shadow Ball to one-shot Mr. Mime. Against Gardevoir, I switch to Chad on a Psychic, and she then goes for a Wish, as our Crunch does just under 50%. A Thunderbolt hits shockingly hard and causes a paralysis, but the Cloth of Averages immediately swings things in our favor, as Chad connects with a critical hit for the swift KO. This brings in Espeon, who's scary since he has the ability to set up Calm Lines. I switch to Minnesota since he's bulky and Body Slam does good damage. It can also paralyze, which would be cool if Espeon didn't have Synchronize. He also has a Starf Berry, which gives him a +2 boost to his special defense. Honestly, one of the better boosts we could have seen here. I'm hoping that Minnesota can clutch up and take the kill before Espeon gets off any damage, but after a turn of healing with a Moo Moo Milk, Sabrina opts for Baton Pass, bringing in a Gengar that now gets all of Espeon's boosts, which is bad. The good news is that Gengar only has 2 attacking moves, Psychic and Ice Punch. Chad is immune to Psychic, and Minnesota resists Ice Punch thanks to his thick fat ability, so my play here is to stall her out of PP. The issue is that even with leftovers, Ice Punch isn't doing nothing, and all it takes is 1 critical hit for things to get out of hand, which obviously happens. And not just once, but twice. This means that Minnesota was only able to stall out 6 of Gengar's Psychics and Ice Punches. So now I have to rely on Vietnam. They take a lot more damage than Minnesota, especially when Gengar gets her 3rd critical hit in a row, but Vietnam also happens to have the speed advantage and the ability to recover. Plus, without the paralysis, they bait potential hypnoses, which we can cure via switching thanks to our ability Natural Cure. This ends up making Vietnam a nearly perfect Pokemon for continuing this stall, barring some truly horrendous RNG. It's not long until we've successfully stalled Gengar out of Psychic PP, but that still leaves 5 more Ice Punches. And now Vietnam can no longer switch to Chad if we want to shake off a Hypnosis. The only thing they can do is stay in and hope to tank these last few hits.
It's 12. Gotta get an early wake up here. 13. Wake up. Don't get crit. 14. Wake up. Don't get crit. All right, that should be the last Ice Punch.
With Gengar completely out of attacking moves, not only can Vietnam get back to full HP, I can also switch back to Minnesota and use Rest to get him back to full HP. After that, Finland 2 finally gets the KO, bringing in Jinx as Sabrina's 4th Pokemon. I use Minnesota and Vietnam to once again stall out her Blizzard PP before eventually taking the KO with a few body slams. Espeon comes back in 5th, and despite several full restores as well as some stalling with Endure, Minnesota eventually gets the KO, leaving one last Pokemon.
Show me something good here, Minnesota. 164, how much does this do? Oh, it crits, but it doesn't matter. He's a goat. Okay, it's fine. Trust the process. He doesn't recover, right? Yep. Woo! Yeah, let's go Badge Boost. Deathless Sabrina. Jesus Christ. Oh my God.
Look, there was probably a better way to do that, but a deathless win is a deathless win. And now we're rapidly approaching the end game. In the areas on and around Cinnabar Island, I get mostly useless Pokemon, though Croatia the Wingull and Oman the Ammonite are both great for the matchup against Blaine's fire types. Before that, I also head to the power plant and find a Voltorb.
All right, well, no Voltorb. That's fine.
Okay, that one killed itself, so I'm not adding it to the electric-type death toll. The 7th gym leader leads with Arcanine, and I lead with Lord Helix, who shrugs off a quad-resisted Fire Blast, and shockingly lands an OHKO with Surf. Typhlosion comes in 2nd, so I swap to Finland 2 on a Thunder Punch, and take the KO with an Earthquake. Since Ninetales comes in next, we chain another KO, swiftly bringing Blaine down to the back half of his team. Solrock really can't do anything to Finland 2, so I just stay in and fire off some crunches, only to discover that there's some sort of weird bug here that causes Solrock to occasionally rip an Earthquake despite Finland 2 being immune via Levitate. No idea why, but whatever the case is, it means that we can get a fairly quick kill. And then nothing that Blaine has left can stop Finland 2's rampage. Both Blaziken and Magmar are easy KOs, granting us an extremely clean victory with the best Dragon Ground type in the series. Up next is the side quest to the Sevi Islands, where—
No! No! We're not doing this. I don't care, Bill. No! No! No!
Okay, up next is the 8th and final gym badge against Giovanni. He's a man after my own heart with that Flygon lead, but unfortunately the little cutie just doesn't stand a chance against our starter, who has been basically MIA for this entire playthrough up until now. But when Canada shows up, she doesn't disappoint, this time chaining kills on Giovanni's first 2 Pokemon. She also baits in Persian, who really can't do anything to Iran. Sure, he can prolong the battle with Hypnoses, but Leftovers ensures that this matchup is basically unlosable. The problem is that after Iran takes out Persian, Giovanni will bring in Tyranitar, who knows Dragon Dance. So instead of taking the kill with a second Brick Break, I decide to switch to Finland 2, which proves to be extremely stupid as Persian puts him to sleep with another Hypnosis. Which means I now gotta switch back to Iran, take the kill with a Brick Break, and hope for the best as Tyranitar does come in 4th. I switch to Germany, who gets the attack drop via Intimidate, though Earthquake still hits quite hard. And then—
Ah, I missed Hyper Beam. I'm so good at this game.
So, fun fact, there's a handful of moves that Drayano changed in FireRed Omega, and one of them is that Hyper Beam only has 65% accuracy now, but also no longer requires a turn to recharge. It's a gambler's dream. And if that isn't crazy enough for ya, the Mad Lad also changed Hydro Cannon, Frenzy Plant, and Blast Burn to be 170 base power moves with no recharge turn, 45% accuracy, and a 40% chance to freeze, poison, and burn respectively. Insane, I know. Anyways, with Tyranitar dead, Giovanni brings in Cacturn.
Oh, does this have Sand Veil? I mean, I think you're gonna Teeter Dance anyways. Let's just go Brick Break. Oh, crap. Not Germany. 999! Since when does that cause a flinch, bro? How much does this do? Oh, holy shit. So we're dead to a crit 5, sure. But I don't care. Dude! Well, now I'm dead. I'm dead if Sandvale triggers. Just make this easy. Thank you.
Last is Swampert, so I switch to Brazil on an Earthquake and rip a quad-effective Magical Leaf.
This might not even kill. Frankly. Yeah, that's not good. That's going to put it in Torrent range. That's going to hurt. Does this kill me? Does with a crit.
You know, Brazil, you may have been the encounter that I never meant to get, but it still hurts to see you go down. It's not your fault that grass types are terrible in Gen 3. Rest well, buddy. Rest well. Thankfully, Swampert's leftovers recovery appears to barely bring him out of healing range, so Canada's free to take the KO with an Ice Beam and win us the battle. Which means, now that we've earned all 8 gym badges, it's time to make our way to the Indigo Plateau where the final challenge awaits. Normally with these advanced difficulty games, I'll get to the Pokemon League and then take a few days to prepare for the fights against the Elite Foreign Champion. But for FireRed Omega, I decided to just rip it. Less than an hour after arriving at the Indigo Plateau, I was headed into the final fights of the game with my team of Canada the Jinx, Iran the Aggron, Germany the Granbull, Nepal the Xatu, Finland 2 the Flygon, and Iceland the Lapra. Now, you might be a little confused by some of these choices. Germany? Nepal? Surely I had better Pokemon in the box, right? Well, the reason for this team is that FireRed Omega is the first game in the Drayano Gauntlet, a challenge created by Pichal where you complete CALCLESS Nuzlocks of FireRed Omega, Sacred Gold, Renegade Platinum, and Blaze Black 2 Redux back to back to back to back. The Pokemon that are champed in one game become banned encounters in the following games, and if you wipe in one game, you have to start at the very beginning of the challenge. When I started this playthrough, I wasn't exactly planning for it to be the beginning of a run through the Drayano Gauntlet, but now that I was approaching the end of my run, I figured that I might as well leave the option open for continuing. As a result, our final team is a balance between the Pokemon that can best get the job done and those that I don't mind losing out on for the rest of the completely theoretical gauntlet, with the caveat that I only thought about this for like 30 minutes max. If you want to see me take on the Drayano Gauntlet, be sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comment section down below. It really does help me gauge what type of content you guys want. But with that, it's time to see if we've got what it takes to defeat a CALCLESS Nuzlocke of Pokemon FireRed Omega. Our first matchup is against Lorelei and her ice types. Or, like, I guess she's more of a water type trainer. Do you think her and Misty have beef? Anyways, like in the baseline games, Lorelei leads with a Dewgong, so here's where Iceland really starts to show why she's one of the best Nuzlocke encounters for a Kanto playthrough. 2 Thunderbolts are enough to take the KO on her fellow water ice type, while taking exactly 0 damage in the process thanks to Lorelei setting up Hail. This causes a mirror match, and though our twin does threaten with Thunderbolts of her own, I decide to stay in to get off a Toxic that misses. But Lorelei proceeds to use Rain Dance to get rid of that pesky Hail that somebody set up.
Yeah, we're all trying to find the guy who did this and give him a spanking.
On our second try, Toxic connects, though it is at the expense of some Thunderbolt damage and a frustrating paralysis. Everywhere I go, I see his face. From here, I switch between Finland 2 and Iceland for a few turns as the toxic damage racks up. Once Lapra falls low enough, Canada comes in to rip a massive Psycho boost for the kill. Third is Slowbro, which takes a bit of a team effort. I switch to Finland 2 on a Fire Blast that causes a burn, which then baits an Ice Beam for a safe switch into Iceland, who rips a Thunderbolt before I finally switch to Nepal and take the kill with a Magical Leaf that she for some reason learns in this game. The back half of Lorelei's team kicks off with a Wigglytuff, which I think is a reference to Pokemon Showdown. Maybe? She's got a weird moveset with her only actual attacking move being Blizzard, which we can once again stall out with strategic switches. Eventually, Wigglytuff sets up a Perish Song that forces her out and lets Iceland rip a Thunderbolt into Milotic for free. With the help of a generous Water Absorb proc, Iceland easily bests the bulky water type. Wigglytuff then comes back in and does the same silly Perish Song stuff, which lets Canada rip a Psychic into Walrein on the switch for massive massive damage. So we just take that kill with a Psycho Boost on the following turn. Hey Wigglytuff, welcome back. Enjoy a Psycho Boost to the face. GG Lorelei, GG. Second for the Elite Four is Bruno, and Iceland's reign continues by one-shotting his lead Steelix with a single Surf. Thanks to Gen 3 Switch-In AI being coded by a silly goose, we can also chain KOs against Donphan with Ice Beam and Armaldo with a second Surf. I wasn't totally sure that last one would kill, but sometimes you gotta risk it for the biscuit. Next are Bruno's fighting types, so Iceland's job is done. I simply switch to Nepal on a failed detect, and then rip Psychics that one-shot Hitmontop, Machamp, and finally Poliwrath.
Well, Bruno defeated. His nipples is a beast.
Agatha is where things start to get tricky. Is what I would say if I was a liar. Her lead Shedinja has a focus band, so to make things simple, I teach Euron Sandstorm such that the chip damage ensures the KO at the end of the turn. Sableye has Seismic Toss, and I want to keep Euron healthy, so instead I switch to Flygon 2 and rip the 2 Earthquakes needed to take the KO, once again taking very little damage as the result of a toxic miss. Agatha wants to be me so badly. Gengar comes in threatening with Ice Punch, which grants a super safe switch into Canada, who's fast enough to move first and kill with a Psychic. Crobat's probably a little too fast though, so I bring in Iran, who does the same thing he's done to every single physical attacker without a ground or fighting type move. He eats hits like they're a bowl of Fruity Pebbles and takes the kill with a few Rock Slides. Or in this case, a single Rock Slide somehow. Misdreavus has a bunch of spooky moves, but critically no way to threaten with actual damage. So Finland 2 can pretty easily take the KO with a few crunches, leaving Aggie down to just her Hypno. Still a little scary thanks to Hypnosis and Calm Mind setup, but Nepal with Shadow Ball and the surprisingly useful Early Bird ability makes quick work of the creep before she can get too out of control. The final member of the Elite Four is Lance, and this has all gone perfectly up until this point, so I have little reason to think that this will go any worse. Against his lead Salamence, Canada gets the clean KO with a single Ice Beam. Talk about a long-term investment, she's really locked in the 11th hour here, huh? Lance's Aerodactyl has a choice band and is almost certainly faster, so I use a turn of Protect to see what he locks into. Since it's double edge, Iran is free to come in and take boots of damage as we get the KO with a series of Rock Slides. Charizard is third, so hoping for an Earthquake, I switch to Finland 2. It ends up being a Blast Burn that graciously misses. If that hits and gets the burn, I think we're in a lot of trouble. We have to continue to gamble as an 80% Rock Tomb connects for massive damage on Charizard. This time, Blast Burn does connect, though no burn is once again extremely lucky. But now,
Does Dragon Claw kill from here is the question. So 50, 100, 200 versus 120, but we're lower special attack. I don't want to miss Rock Tomb. But if I miss out on the KO and it crits, actually it doesn't even have to crit because it would be Blaze boosted. Blast Burn would just kill. That's right at 35%. I think I have to roll the hit. I don't think Dragon Claw kills. Fly won't kill either, because that'll be 90. That's half, so that won't kill either, yeah. I gotta go Rock Tomb. Come on, Finland 2. You got it. 80%, hit this. Yes! Yes! Okay.
This brings in the first of Lance's 2 Dragonites, and since he's going for Ice Beam, we get another safe switch to Canada, who of course retaliates with one of her own for a massive OHKO. Gyarados has a super goofy moveset of Dragon Dance, Earthquake, Thunder Wave, and Taunt, which means that he cannot touch Finland 2, no matter how hard he tries. For some reason, Lance seems hellbent on using Thunder Wave, so after we've done a good chunk of damage with Rock Tombs, I switch to Nepal, such that Gyarados is essentially forced to use either Taunt or Dragon Dance as I bring in Canada. With a Psychic, we finish him off, now in the perfect position to snipe down Lance's final Dragonite for another deathless victory. All that's left is one final fight against my rival Drayano, the architect of this world, the man who created all the hell I've lived through. It was he who took the lives of the 7 teammates I lost. He who watched as I endured full paralyses, confusions, and turn after turn of sleep. He cackled at my despair, growing more and more powerful the longer I suffered. But now, it was time to take him out for good or die trying. Dre leads with Heracross, and I lead with Canada. With a single Psychic, we immediately gain the upper hand and force our rival to bring in Ampharos. I switch to Finland 2 on a Tail Glow, and then rip a massive Soft Sand boosted Earthquake. But with the level advantage gone, the Naked Sheep is just a hair too bulky, letting him rip a nasty +3 Fire Punch. I'm once again extremely lucky that that didn't burn, because after a heal, we can take the kill with a few more Earthquakes. Walrein is third, so it's back to Iceland, who as usual starts ripping Thunderbolts. After a few turns though, Drayano decides to make the hard switch into his Meganium, and with his only attacking move Frenzy Plant, he can hit really hard if he manages to connect. On the switch to Nepal, he does miss. Unfortunately, we can't do much damage since Meganium is free to set up with screens as we have to use Fly. And then on the turn we come down, Frenzy Plant finally connects.
That's one Frenzy Plant. Holy f***. Jesus Christ! 1 HP survival. Come on, come on, come on. If Meganium misses this one, Nipples lives. Just miss this Frenzy Plant. It's like 40%, right?
So, the first member of our final team goes down, but her insane 1 HP survival ensures that we've gotten enough damage on Meganium for Canada to come in and take the kill with an Ice Beam. 3 Pokemon remain as Dre sends in his starter, and unfortunately, I have to make a tough decision. I cannot risk Flagon 2 getting burned on the switch, meaning that I need to make a sacrifice. One might argue that it should be Germany given that he's done literally nothing for the entire Elite Four, but instead I decide to give Canada a chance. With a full-forced 140 base power Psycho boost, maybe it's enough to beat Magmar. She's won this matchup before, even with the odds against her, and she's come so far from that very first fight. It's only fitting that she gets a chance to do it again. So with a beautiful battle cry, she fires off her strongest attack, and I pray as Magmar's HP drops. But it's not enough, and with a single Fire Blast, Canada is gone. Her death looms large in these final turns, but that sacrifice does ensure us the victory. And yet, there's one more still to come. After a heal, Finland 2 one-shots Magmar with an Earthquake, and though Iceland finishes off Walrein with a few more Thunderbolts, it's not without getting hit by a Toxic in the process. So as Drayano sends out his final Pokemon Metagross, the Elite Four MVP's fate is sealed. She uses Perish Song to ensure that Metagross falls in just 3 turns. But the price for that heroic act is a massive Meteor Mash to the gut, enough to bring her down to 17 HP. 1 Toxic tick away from crossing the veil and greeting the 9 teammates that await on the other side. 10 friends gone, but now victory is ours. Iran comes in and uses Protect as Metagross's Perish counter drops to 2. A switch to Flagon 2 on a baited Earthquake drops it to 1, and with a cheeky Fly to dodge any damage from a Meteor Mash, we watch as Iceland's Song from the Beyond drops our foe's HP to 0, winning us not just the battle against our rival Drayano, but the entire run in 1 attempt. If you're looking for an introduction into advanced difficulty Pokemon games, I'd really recommend FireRed Omega. It's a little dated, sure, but it's a good level of difficulty to the point where you're less likely to be overwhelmed by some of the harder, longer games that have come out since. Oh, and because this is the internet, it's probably important to clarify that all the jabs at Drayano in this video are meant in good fun. I consider myself extremely lucky to know him and have him as an active part of my community. He even streams a bit himself, so so please go give him some love. He's one of the nicest people I've ever met and deserves all the praise in the world for creating amazing games that make so many people happy. As always, if you enjoyed this video, consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. Or don't, I don't know, but stay tuned for more Nuzlocke videos, or maybe some more Drayano Gauntlet. And until then, remember to always, always, always play around the critical hit.